Hey dudes. Oh, hey guys. So I opened up the first six character boxes, and I'm just going to kind of give you a quick rundown of each one so you can see what they're like and maybe consider what style of play you're interested in doing for the first round. I will say, no matter which character you choose, it doesn't matter. They're all pretty basic to start out. The interactions between characters become more complex as you start unlocking some of the later characters. So just think about what kind of style of play you're interested in, and you really can't go wrong starting out. But I do have some that I prefer over others, so I'll kind of give you a little information here. Um, so I'll use a Cragheart to kind of explain a couple of game mechanics real quick, just so you can understand what you're looking at here. But every player or every character has a little mat that gives you information. If you flip it over on the back, every character has a bio. It kind of tells you their motivations, their temperament, a story about where they come from, and all kinds of stuff. There's a lot of lore in this game, like a ton of it, and it makes the game pretty interesting to play. It's kind of like a really long story, so there's a lot of stuff to read every time we play too. Um, but when you're looking at the front part of the mat, this will be in front of you every time you play the game. Um, you've got your starting hand amount up here for the Cragheart. It's 11, and this varies for different characters. Their symbol over here, which matches the symbol on their box. Every character has this information as the same. This is just like a quick reference guide for the order of things in your turn. Um, Over here is a spot to show conditions. So like if you get stunned, if you get burned, poisoned, immobilized, all kinds of stuff, there's little indicators that you drop off right there so you know that you are suffering from that condition. And then down here shows the character's level and the amount of health they have per level. So you can see how that rises incrementally as you gain experience and level up your character. So the hand amount is important because it's directly related to your endurance for the round. On your turn, you're going to select two cards from your 11 card hand, and those two cards are going to be your actions. So, like, are you going to attack that turn? Are you going to use a movement action? Are you going to heal, summon a creature, all kinds of stuff? So, what happens is, as you select those two cards and complete a turn, the cards that you selected for that turn are discarded once they're done, or lost, depending on the type of card they are. After you've cycled through your entire 11 card hand, you have to rest in order to recover your other cards that you've already spent. And when you're going through the resting process, you lose a card. So every time you rest, your hand dwindles. And if your hand dwindles all the way down, then you exhaust your character and you can no longer participate in the quest that we are undertaking. It doesn't mean we lose, it just means you're out. So if Brian chose a Cragheart and exhausted himself, me and David would be responsible for trying to complete the mission. And Brian would still get all of his experience and gold and everything that he earned that round, but he just would stop right there and that's it. So that's kind of how your character works. So you have to strike a balance. And like I said, this changes for all of them. The Cragheart has 10. You can see 11. The Mind Thief has 10. Moving down, all these numbers are different. So I'll just give you a quick description of each of these characters, and you can kind of think of what you might enjoy trying out, starting with our first clan. So the Cragheart is a overpowered brute, kind of super powered, does close range melee attacks that are really powerful. He can manipulate objects in the environment. So if there's like a barrel in the room and the Cragheart standing next to it, he could, throw the barrel at an enemy or flip a table over to hurt a couple of guys, things like that. Pretty powerful character. Very slow moving though. I think I may have already said that, but moves very slow. And you'll see that these aren't spoilers. These are all things that you'll see if you analyze the character like immediately once you're looking at their action cards. All right, this is the Mind Thief. You can see they have a 10 card hand and they have low health. So the Mind Thief's whole gig is they summon other creatures to do fighting for them. They can manipulate enemies. They can, I think they have a few minor support things like healing and buffers for the party. That could be incorrect. I think I might be thinking of the Tinkerer. But the Mind Thief is mostly about manipulating things and having other things do the work for him. Um, I think he can also manipulate other people in the party. So he could make, if I am across the room, he could say, hey, do an attack 3 on this character and, kind of control me. So he's a fun one to use. Kind of a weird indirect offensive character, stands in the background. Obviously, not a lot of health, so you don't want him on the front lines, but he is effective. So the Brute, I say actually that the Cragheart is more of the Brute in this game, and the actual Brute is more of like a straightforward, middle of the road offensive character. Lots of melee attacks that are about medium strength, lots of medium movement, shielding. It can retaliate. So retaliate is a feature where if an enemy attacks you, you immediately do damage back to them. Very, very simple mechanisms, nothing mind-boggling, very straightforward, kind of a character to use. Then you move over to the Tinkerer. The Tinkerer can set up traps, summon enemies. It does some support stuff. I think it can buffer characters in the party a little bit, stun bad guys, things like that, stuff that helps out. And also has, I believe, some pretty decent offensive attacks as well. You can see a high stamina, a high card count for this one. The Tinkerer has a lot of cards that are lost cards, so as soon as you play them, they are immediately lost instead of being discarded. So, like I said earlier, a lost card is completely out of the game. Very interesting and fun character to use as well. Then down here you have the Spellweaver. The Spellweaver only has 8 cards and also has very low health, but this character is one of the first characters you unlock that does a lot of elemental stuff. This one is on my short list for starting out. It is a very fun character, does a lot of very cool stuff, a little bit more strategic than maybe the Brute or the Cragheart, a little bit more strategic possibly than the Tinkerer. I'd say it's about like the Mind Thief, but none of these characters are super complex, nothing that you guys couldn't figure out quickly. So, and then down here, this is the last one. This is the first character I ever used, the Scoundrel. This is an incredibly fun character to use. She's kind of an assassin type. She throws daggers, has a bow and arrow, can move very quickly, super high powered when you get into the higher levels. She only has 9 cards, but her whole thing is coming in and being, super offensive and swift and assassin-like, I said. So she's a lot of fun. I enjoyed her. I leveled her all the way to 9 before I retired her. She had a very long personal quest to start out. So my first party that I had playing this game was the Scoundrel, the Spellweaver, the Tinkerer, and the Cragheart down here, and we were pretty successful. But like I said, it doesn't matter which one you choose. No matter what, in a 3-person game, starting out with any of these, they're all going to be effective in their own way. I'm trying not to give too much opinion, but the Brute, I would say, is probably the least interesting character to play. I had a short run with the Brute, and it was kind of boring to the point where I actually stopped using it. But, that's me. You may enjoy using it more. Totally up to you, though. But those are your options. Anyway, that's it. All right, later.